Thank you for watching this video. This video is intended to provide you with some background information on the evaluation criteria used to grade the design concepts prepared for the Randall Over 90 project. In our public meeting, we described the 7 steps we took to create ideas for improvement and decide which are most likely to result in improvements which meet the purpose and need for this corridor. 2 key steps in the evaluation of our concepts included the development of evaluation criteria and the assignment of scores for each concept based on those criteria. This video provides a detailed explanation of the process behind those 2 steps. For each of the criteria, our project's 20-some concepts were assigned a score of 0 to 4 based on the concept's impact to that criterion. When the impact was negative, such as for drainage impacts, the rubric was as follows: 4 for a concept with no impact or a positive effect, 3 for a minor negative effect, 2 for a moderate effect, 1 for a significant effect, and 0 for a dramatic or catastrophic effect worse than any other concept. When the impact was positive, such as for traffic operations, the rubric was as follows: 4 for the highest level of improvement of all concepts, 3 for significant improvement, 2 for moderate improvement, 1 for minor improvement, and 0 for no discernible improvement or actual reduction in performance. The criteria used to evaluate concepts are shown here. They are summarized as follows: traffic operations, construction phasing, right-of-way impacts, cost, bridges and structures, safety, environmental effects, multimodal potential, business access, impacts to Advocate Sherman Hospital, drainage impacts, and stakeholder input. One important note: stakeholder input scores are entirely based on public opinion. You will soon be given the opportunity to provide your score for each concept. Traffic operations. Let's dive in a little to how the team conducted their engineering analysis and evaluated traffic operations for each concept. At the beginning of the study, KDOT collected traffic data to assess current roadway volumes and capacity. This data was used to create an accurate computer simulation of existing traffic during the morning and evening rush hours. It is important to note that current traffic patterns on Randall Road have not been dramatically impacted by COVID-19. Reductions in commuting have been offset by increases in logistics traffic. The existing conditions models were adjusted to the demand anticipated in the year 2035, based on current growth factors. These models were then adjusted to mimic the geometric concepts developed by the design team and reanalyzed. This gave our traffic engineers a relatively precise assessment of how each geometric concept would perform in the future. To receive a high ranking, a concept must provide a significant improvement to traffic operations and address high levels of traffic volumes. Many concepts that received a low ranking did not address the high levels of turning traffic volumes, which resulted in queuing in the corridor, including on the ramps to I-90. A few of the concepts actually performed worse than the no build. These designs were eliminated from evaluation in our fatal flaw analysis. Any concept that does not provide improved mobility throughout the corridor will not satisfy the purpose and need of this project, and therefore will not be included in future design considerations. One of the keys to improving traffic flow on Randall Road is by making its many traffic signals more efficient. KDOT has done all that can be done to optimize the timing of the signals. At this point, the only ways to make operations more efficient is by reducing the number of traffic signals or reducing the number of phases in key intersections. Signal phasing is what we call the process of deciding how long and in what order each movement at an intersection gets its turn to proceed. The image shows the current signal phasing for Randall Road at eastbound I-90. It has 3 signal phases. The more phases you have means less go time or green lights for drivers. Less green time means an increased likelihood of queuing and backups. The southbound left turn movement from Randall Road onto eastbound I-90 is a perfect example of this issue. Designs which feature traffic signals with 2 phases tended to score higher than concepts with 3-phase signals because the simpler 2-phase signals increase green time for the remaining movements. 2 of our more successful concepts from a traffic operations standpoint involve the rerouting of that southbound left turn to allow them to bypass the intersection. You can see that the signal phasing without that movement is much simpler. It allows for increased green light time because there is no longer a need to provide green time for that southbound left. Constructability. Each improvement concept was evaluated based on the perceived complexity of its constructability or construction phasing. Each concept was evaluated and given a score based on the following: the level of difficulty in construction, the amount of time it takes to construct, the potential for construction phasing or sequencing, meaning the ability to build some parts of the improvement now and others later, potential impacts to traffic, residential, and business access during construction, the possible need to relocate expensive or critical utilities, and the possibility of retaining existing pavement or bridges in the proposed concept. Right-of-way. Each improvement concept was evaluated and scored based on the number of parcels it would impact. An impact is any encroachment on a property. Any concept that requires many impacts to parcels scored lower than those that had few or none. It is important to note that there are no displacements anticipated for any of the proposed concepts. A displacement is when proposed right-of-way physically impacts a structure, or proximity would not meet distance requirements of new building codes, requiring the purchase and removal of that structure. Cost. An initial look at the construction costs associated with each potential improvement concept was developed. For the purpose of concept comparison, the cost estimates only consider big-ticket items such as additional pavement, new structures, right-of-way acquisition, and proposed signalized intersections. It is too early in the design phase to be specific about estimates. Additional likely costs associated with complicated traffic staging, drainage, and utility relocations were also included based as a percentage of the additional proposed pavement. Bridges and structures. For this category, each concept was evaluated based on how it would impact the existing I-90 bridge. The existing structure has been widened 3 times in the past 30 years, and some parts of it are near the end of their service life. It does not meet current optimum Illinois Tollway horizontal or vertical clearance standards. Most of our interchange concepts assume the bridge will be replaced. Some replacement structures are simple, while others are quite complex and challenging. Improvement concepts were also scored based on how many new structures, such as bridges and major retaining walls, would be needed. Safety. For the safety category, each concept was evaluated for its ability to reduce the crash frequency in the corridor. An average of 150 crashes a year was reported to police in 5 years of data analyzed by the project team. Rear-end crashes accounted for 74% of the overall crashes in the corridor. Long lines at traffic signals, or queuing, were found to be the primary cause of rear-end crashes within the I-90 corridor. Accordingly, concepts which simplify or reduce traffic signals, or reduce conflict points in the corridor, tended to score more highly. 50% of reported crashes occurred within the half-mile between the eastbound I-90 ramp and Auto Mall Drive, Saddle Club Drive. Concepts which created a new safety concern, such as a new point of conflict or weaving section, tended to receive a lower score. Environmental effects. Each concept was evaluated on its possible effect on noise, air quality, sensitive land uses, or other elements of social or environmental concern. After field observations and review of existing environmental databases, it was determined the project area has no significant sites of environmental concerns. There are 2 sites of minor environmental concerns that will require further environmental investigation. Any improvement impacting one of those 2 sites was ranked slightly lower than improvements that would not impact these sites. If you would like more information about the environmental effects to see the minor concerns, visit the project website to view the preliminary environmental site assessment for the project. Noise analysis. Our team also considered how improvement concepts might impact roadway noise in the project area. It is important to note that with growth expected in this area, KDOT anticipates that noise will increase with traffic, regardless of whether improvements are made to existing roadways. In future design phases, KDOT will build a noise model to analyze expected noise in the design year for viable improvement concepts. This analysis will be used in determining if a noise wall is reasonable and feasible based on state and federal regulations and procedures. For this early evaluation, noise experts used the following items to rank each concept's effect on noise: current noise levels. Improvements in locations which already have higher noise levels will receive a lower score. Distance from properties. The greater the distance, the less likely a property is impacted. Height of improvements or structures. Noise will tend to travel further if improvements are elevated. Traffic volume and speed. The higher traffic volumes and speeds will generally generate higher noise levels. Multimodal. For this multimodal potential category, improvement concepts were developed based on their ability to accommodate pedestrian and bicycle access throughout and across the corridor. This could include sidewalk and shared use paths. This project does not include the design, only the ease of implementation of multimodal access. A separate multimodal accommodation study will be an important component of the next phase of the project. When determining the multimodal potential for an improvement concept, the design team considered cross-section. Wider pavements on Randall Road can be more difficult for pedestrians to cross without a safe location to wait. The number of free-flowing intersections can make it difficult for pedestrians and cyclists to find breaks to cross. Minimal available right-of-way can make it difficult to design a sidewalk or shared use path without additional impacts to surrounding properties. The PACE facility immediately north of the interchange provides concept transportation options and will improve regional mobility. Improvements in vehicular and non-motorized access to the facility result in a higher score. Advocate Sherman access. Each concept was evaluated based on its impact to access points in and out of Advocate Sherman Hospital. Hospital representatives have indicated that backups are a major issue and that they create challenges for ambulances and key staff to access the hospital in a timely manner. Business access. Concepts were also evaluated based on their impact to businesses and their access points surrounding Randall Road at I-90. This area is key to the economic health of the region, and its continued growth is considered to be at risk due to increasing congestion. Scores were based on the success of modifications to existing access points, as well as improvements which increase capacity or enhance mobility throughout the corridor. Reducing the number of intersections within the corridor and/or improving signal phasing will also make it easier for users to get to and from businesses. Drainage. Each improvement concept was assessed based on its impacts to drainage basins and their perceived capacity to accommodate new runoff. The corridor has a few drainage concerns which will be addressed by most of the concepts, but significant widening will create the need for additional drainage capacity. When these concepts were evaluated for their drainage score, it was important to consider the possible need for expensive infrastructure, such as inline detention. Stakeholder input. KDOT has and will continue to seek stakeholder input about the concepts under consideration. The scoring of each of the concepts will entail a subjective assessment of its ability to address the needs of stakeholders. Scoring for this category is subject to change and will be informed by the following: input from major stakeholder meetings that took place before the second public meeting being held today, public input from this public meeting, It is important to note that stakeholder input is not shown in the scores you see today because we are only now beginning to collect that information. Please be sure to complete the survey activated for the public meeting. It will give you the opportunity to score each concept according to how well you think each one meets the overall goals of the project. Thank you again for watching. I hope this video has provided you with the information you need to understand the evaluation process. You are always welcome to email the project team with any additional questions or comments you might have. For more information regarding the project or to sign up for project updates, visit www.randallover90.com. Thank you.